Hi guys, my name's Becky and welcome back. Now it's been a long time coming, but I'm finally going to read volume 3 of One Piece. Without further ado, we're going to go straight into it because I know you're all here for my thoughts. It's going to follow the same format as the other videos. I'm going to see if I can try and change the format a little bit. I might try and include like maybe the arcs at the moment, but just because I have up to volume 3 at the moment, so we're going to go ahead and read the first chapter. So we're going to start with chapter 18, which is continuing on between Luffy and Captain Buggy's fight. So that's chapter 18 read. So we're continuing the fight between Luffy and Buggy, and they're sending like attacks at each other and manage to dodge them, but then Buggy actually damages Luffy's hat that he got from Captain Shanks, and obviously, and Luffy doesn't like that and he gets really angry, and Nami comments like, "Nothing. I thought nothing fazed this guy. I thought." So you can see that he really cares about Captain Shanks, and he wants to keep his promise to Captain Shanks. And Bug says, "Oh, we were apprentice pirates with Captain Shanks." So and then Luffy doesn't like that either. So he says, "Don't put yourself on the same level as." So Luffy really admires Captain Shanks. Like, I suppose he sees him almost as his mentor. But I'm excited to see about more of the history between Buggy and Captain Shanks. So we're going to move on to chapter 19, which is called Devil Fruit. So I'm guessing this might have the origin actually, because it seemed to be hinting at that. So let's move on to chapter 19. It's a very heavy chapter actually. I learnt about the backstory of Buggy and Captain Shanks. They were on the same pirate crew and they didn't get on at all. They were polar opposites. I suppose it doesn't help they were arguing about the North and South Pole. And Buggy found a treasure map and he wanted to go and sneak off originally, but they because he wanted to keep this treasure map all to himself. But they also found a devil fruit, and then Buggy says he'll eat it. So he eats it and says, "Oh, nothing's happened so far." But the truth is, he's actually stole it because he wants to sell it, because he wants to make some money. But so he almost sneaks off the ship, but then Captain Shanks sees him and talks to him about something, and then Buggy ends up swallowing the devil fruit and can't swim and ends up falling over, and Captain Shanks saved him. So because he blames Captain Shanks for him losing his ability to swim and being able to steal the treasure, and I suppose that doesn't help. So there's a bit of rivalry between there. They seem I mean, it doesn't seem like he hates him. It seems more like just odd rivalry there, to be honest with me. And the village people are going to go back into town, so that doesn't look good. And Nami has gone to steal the treasure, but Captain Buggy has just noticed that Nami stole the treasure using his power, so we're going to move on. But there was a comment that Captain Shanks said. They say the devil fruit was enchanted by sea devils. Whoever eats it gets amazing powers, but the sea turns against them. And I can see that's true because obviously Luffy can't swim and neither can Buggy. But I'm so curious about like where this devil fruit came from. That's still like one of the mysteries. I want to find out where it came from. But we're going to move on to chapter 20, The Way of the Thief. So then we've got like the hint of the backstory. Chapter 19 carries on the fight between Luffy and Buggy, and Buggy's got a weakness. His feet actually don't fly, so Luffy uses that against him because he's gone after Nami because she's stolen the treasure maps, and he doesn't like that. So Luffy and Nami have teamed up and managed to corral him. So I'm seeing the start of a partnership here because Nami's been in a lot of chapters. So with that, let's move on to chapter 21, which is called Townies. So I'm wondering if the town ends up with them. So the sun's come out, so I'm a bit half in shadow and half. But so with the end of chapter 21, I think that concludes the pirate versus Buggy arc, and yeah, so the town people arrive and find all the pirate whole mess, and finds the mayor passed out, and they ask like what's happened, and then Luffy tells the truth and says, "I knocked the mayor out," and then they don't like that, so they get all worked up. So Nami Nami, Zoro and Luffy have to flee because they're being chased, and as they're being chased, Chow Chow actually comes to their rescue, and yeah, so because the dog helped them, he's helping them in return. And then the mayor wakes up and says, and then they tell him what happened. He's like, no, you're the only people that are allowed to tell me names. And as they get back to the ship, the ship that Nami stole from the pirate crew are waiting, but then Zoro knocks them out, so they get onto the ship. And I think Luffy told Nami that he left the money that she stole for them to rebuild the town. She doesn't like that, and they start arguing. But yeah, so Nami has joined their pirate crew, and the mayor thanked them at the end. And yeah, I think I would say I'm hoping there'll be more arcs like that, with like finding crew members and building like character development, because we've still got quite a few chapters to go yet. But I did enjoy that arc, but I'm hoping there might be some better arcs. But I think they'll probably be the most enjoyable arcs for me, because they're building character relationships and we get to learn some backstory about some certain characters. So we're going to move on to chapter 22, which is called Strange Creatures. And I'm going to have to adjust somewhere because the sun is blinding me. 22, I don't know, it felt a bit like filler. I think it's just kind of a break between each arc, I suppose, because Nami has fixed Luffy's hat and then he breaks it again, and then she pokes him in the eye, and she says that's the only way we can hurt him. And they see an island, and then Nami's like, that looks uninhabited, we need food because they're hungry. But Zoro and Luffy go anyway. And Nami seems like the smartest character out of all of them. She seems the most reasonable. But they land on this island, and this strange voice, they see all these strange creatures, and then the strange voice talks to them and says, I'm the guardian of the forest. But it turns out like it's actually a guy in a box, and he got trapped in this box because he, for 20 years, because he was guarding some treasure chests that he had seen, and then he asked Luffy to go and look and see them, but they're empty. And Luffy asks him to join his crew, but he's like, nah, I'm gonna stay here because I've been here for almost 20 years and I've grown fond of. Even though it's filler, it did give us the backstory into how the world works with the Grand Line. So there are two seas, and the Grand Line, there's a red line and the Grand Line, and the Grand Line is in between those two seas, and that's where they're sailing to and where the One Piece is. So I'm glad to see we got like a history of the world and how it works. And once again, Nami is the smartest character out of all of them. She's going to become, I think, one of my faves. So I'm going to carry on with chapter 23, which is called The Dread Captain Usopp. So hopefully this moves on to the next arc now. I've just finished chapter 23. So Nami, Luffy and Zoro are having a conversation about how they can't possibly carry on sailing with two small boats, and that they need to find a proper ship because they're going to the most dangerous place in the world. So Nami comes up with a plan that there's a small village where they can find a ship, so they head there. And then we're introduced to Usopp, the village youth, and it's a bit of a boy who cried wolf situation. He riles the town people and says pirates are coming, and he gets joy in that, and because he riles them up and gets chased by them. But there are three young boys that look up to him, and so he says it's his pirate crew. So they're spying on the beach when Luffy, Nami and Zoro arrive, and they see Usopp, and they end up talking to him, and he tells them he's basically telling lies, but then he tells them there's a mansion with a woman, with a girl whose parents have died, and they could possibly ask her. And he does offer to join, saying they're the captain, and they deny that. But then the chapter ends with a woman talking to this person called Clahador, saying, I want to see Usopp. So he obviously knows her, so it'd be interesting to see if he can help them, if it's called chapter 24, The Lie Rejector. And yeah, I think it's going to be a boy who cried wolf situation here. That was a pretty intense chapter, actually. So the three kids that look up to Usopp have gone looking for him because they believe he's been kidnapped by the pirates, and they go to the same restaurant and they find them, and there's a bit of a joke about how they think Luffy's at them but he hasn't, and they tell the kids that he's gone to the estate of the girl, and they say, oh, he makes up stories to make her feel better, so he's actually a really good guy. So even though they decided against the idea of asking the girl for a ship, they decide to go there anyway. And as Usopp's in the middle of telling us the story, then they enter, and the butler finds them, and the butler's a really horrible dude. He like starts insulting Usopp, saying, oh, you're just trash, and then even the girl's like, just stop, because Usopp is just trying, even though he's a liar, he's just generally trying to help. And he's insulting like his father's pirate heritage, and like because he's the son of a pirate, and Klahor is just saying that like he's a bit of a not like his father's a no-go, and Usopp slaps him and he says, I won't deny my pirate heritage, like I'm a brave, he's like, I'm proud that my father is a pirate, I'm proud that I'm a brave warrior of the sea, but there's one thing I'll never lie about, and I'll never lie about my pirate heritage, I'm the son of the pirate. And then Luffy says, now I remember. So I'm wondering if he knew who he is, but I am interested how Klahor, is it Klahor or Klahadore, that's a weird name. Klahadore knows so much about like his father's pirate heritage. It seems a bit strange, but yeah. So we're moving on to chapter 25, which is called Lies. Oh, so chapter 25, another pretty much like heavily not kind of dialogue heavy chapter. So Klahadore and Usopp carry on fighting, and then Kaya doesn't like Kaya's the girl, she doesn't like that and tells them to leave, so Usopp leaves and the kids leave, and everybody gets angry. So Usopp leaves he has a conversation with Luffy, and Luffy reveals that he actually knows his father called Yasop, who is a great shot and was on Captain Shanks's crew, and you can see how like proud he, in the flashback, how proud he was of his son and who he was as a person. And I'm hoping Usopp might join his crew, because I think there seems to be a lot of detail, and like they've got a shared history almost, so we'll see. But then they overhear that Klahadore is talking to someone who claimed to be a hypnotist and hypnotised the kids earlier, and I thought it was just a strange thing, but that they're going to murder her, so I wonder if they're going to try and steal their money. So Klahadore is suspicious. Oh my god. So Klahadore is suspicious, but yeah, so we've got one more chapter. And so that ends volume 3 and the end of chapter 26. So it really is a boy who cried wolf situation with Usopp, because he overhears Klahadore, who's actually a famous captain called Captain Kuro, who was presumed dead, but he'd actually been plotting to steal this family's fortune. It turns out that Klahadore had actually killed the girl's parents, and they think they killed Luffy because Django hypnotises him and he falls off. But obviously we know that's not the case, because he can't die from that, but they think he's dead. And Usopp runs and he tries to tell the village that everyone's going to be attacked, but no one believes him because he's been riling them up all this time, and just to show you shouldn't be doing that. So I'm hoping Usopp will get some good character development knowing not to do that because of the situation. But One Piece is getting better. I will say it is getting better, and I'm going to continue with volume 4 because I'm really enjoying this. Especially, I really like Usopp's character, so I want to know more about him and how they're going to get out of the situation. And but yes, it keeps getting better. I really enjoyed this volume. Can't really fault it, although it's building on its world, it's building on its characters. I've got no complaints so far. But I suppose Kaya and Nami do look similar the way they're drawn. I suppose that's the only thing I can really say. All the men have like unique designs, and then Nami and Kaya kind of look the same. I suppose that's the only issue I can find with it. Really enjoyed the volume, so I will be picking up volume 4 soon, I promise you that. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, me reacting and reading to One Piece volume 3. I will be back with volume 4 at some point, so thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and comment down below what you enjoyed about One Piece, or if there's anything you think I will really enjoy. No spoilers again, but still want to read it for the first time. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye! Bye.